Hello all, welcome to the web application pen testing course on Pentester Academy. In this video, we will look at transport layer protection using SSL. Now, you probably all already guessed that HTTP is plain text and the problems come because of that, including the fact that it is insecure and anyone can eavesdrop on your connection. Now in today's world, this becomes a really major concern because most of us end up using insecure Wi-Fi networks in coffee shops, airports, and other public places where any HTTP traffic can be sniffed by an attacker having wireless attack tools. Now, because of what might be sent over HTTP, which includes usernames, passwords, session IDs, important one-time cookies and whatnot, it is possible that an attacker manages to compromise or hijack your session. And hence, for anything important, HTTP is not a good idea. So what do we do then? And this is where we have HTTPS, which is really transport layer protection. Now, very simply put, HTTPS, what it does is it creates an encrypted tunnel first using public-private cryptography, and then within that encrypted tunnel, all our data, which could be credentials, just plain data, cookies, session IDs, everything gets tunneled into that encrypted hole. Now, HTTPS typically uses port 443. However, just like any other service, it can be run on other ports as well. So now the question is, how does HTTPS really look like? Now, I'm going to do two small exercises. One is using the PCAP file, which is available for download below. And once you save that PCAP file and open it in Wireshark, you should basically have a screen which looks like this. Now, we will see that there are a lot of messages in here, including multiple client hello messages. I can at least see two of them. So the easiest way to look at just one SSL session, which is, we connect, we negotiate the encryption, we create the tunnel and send data. The easiest way is to go ahead and first find an application data packet and right click that. In the trace file, it's packet 21. That's the number of the packet, as you can see. Right click that and say follow SSL stream, right? Close that window, and this gives us one full SSL connection from beginning to end. Now let's quickly look at this, and truth be told, I'm not trying to be able to explain the encryption behind SSL. The simple reason is that would be a course more on mathematics and cryptography than web application pen testing. However, if there are a lot of people who would like me to do a crypto course as well, always you can use the feedback form, and the moment we finish the existing ones, I can do a crypto course for you. Okay, so I'll leave it to you. So coming back, we first have our typical TCP SYN, SYN-ACK, ACK three-way handshake, and after that, the client sends the client hello message to the server. Now, this message contains a lot of interesting things. Now, as I said, I'm not going to take you through each and every smaller aspects of the protocol. I would rather touch on very high level points which are of interest to us. So if we expand the packet, we see it's a client hello packet. And you would notice that there is an area in here called cipher suites. It says 36 of them listed, and these are all the different ciphers which are supported by your browser currently, or the client rather, right? So really what the client is doing is it is telling the server, hey, I support and speak all of these crypto possibilities. Select one of these and let me know which one I should use, right? And preference, of course, is going to be from top to bottom. Now there are other interesting things here as well, such as session ID. You have a bunch of random values and all of that, and this gets used later on while creating and negotiating keys and all the other stuff, right? So just keep that in mind. We needn't get into the details. The other interesting part of this message is called server underscore name, and really this is almost like the host header in HTTP. What this really does is this gives you the name of the server, such as a local host. Now this first example is using the trace file collected between a server and a client running on the same machine. After we do this, we'll do a live collection for a site like PayPal, and we may end up seeing other values in here, right? So this is the first message, client hello, and this is responded back by the server with a server hello, the certificate, and the server hello done, right? In this case, all of them are in the same message. When you look at a live internet traffic, you may even find them spread over multiple packets. So here is the server hello. If you can scroll down in here, if you notice in the cipher suite, the server has chosen one of the encryption possibilities proposed by the client, and this is what is going to be used by both the client and the server from now on. Again, server underscore name, this is the extension which we saw before in the client as well, right? Then this doesn't evaluate anything in here. Now, apart from this, the interesting part really, if I collapse this, is the certificate, right? This is actually the certificate sent by the server to the client. And if you notice, it says here the size of the certificate is 1042. You can open it up, further breaks it up into other possibilities, and you can clearly see here a lot of stuff which should probably make sense. As you notice, it says the signature, the serial number, the issuer, right? Blah blah blah, a lot of stuff in here. And finally you see something called encrypted. It seems to be a very long random value, right? This is really the signature in the certificate which your browser is going to verify using the different CAs it has installed, right? So this is where certificate verification comes in, right? And you can actually go ahead and look at a lot of other possibilities in the certificate by opening any of these items in here. You'd see stuff like the country name and all of that possibilities also. And one of the easiest ways is really, if you notice, the certificate which I created in here was for Pentester Academy, and I can see that in the trace dump. And once I select that in here, if you notice, basically gives me all those relevant values in there, right? Pentester Academy, and then I had like West Bengal selected in here, right, which was basically the state or province name. Calcutta selected in here, so which seems to be the ID at locality name. So if you play along and open up all these certificates, all those interesting things about the country, whatever the certificate creator has put in would all be visible to you, right? Leave that as an exercise to you. Now after the client receives the certificate and all of that, then the actual crypto begins, where the whole keys are created for encryption and all of that. So you have the client key exchange, then you have new session ticket and all of that, and most of this is heavy on crypto. I mean, really, if you would like to kind of go ahead and remove all the crypto aspects of it, after the server hello and the certificate is being sent, pretty much both parties end up negotiating the encryption, creating the keys for encryption and all of that. And finally, the application data gets sent, right? So if you would notice, here is all the application data which is getting sent, and this is really what is your encrypted application data, right? And then that goes in, and finally the connection is stopped, right? Awesome. Now let's try and look at the exchange for a real world website. So let me go ahead and start the capture. And go in here. Let's go to PayPal. And enter. So we've seen ton of packets in here, right? Now the first filter for SSL would be TCP port equals 443. Okay, so here we go. Seem to see some client hello and server hello messages and all that. As I said, the best way really is to pick up a packet with application data in it, right click it and say follow SSL stream, so that we can basically see a full exchange with data, right? So if you notice, again we have the client hello, right, in which we pretty much have our fields which we talked about, the cipher suites and all of that, and then you have the server hello message, right, and then you have a bunch of other packets in here as well. So if you can scroll down in here, you see the certificate message in here, right? And this certificate message, can play with it a little bit. Here is the actual certificate, and you can immediately see paypal.com and a bunch of other things in here, right? This is how your client receives the certificate. And then you have the key exchanges and cipher exchanges and all of that stuff. And then finally, you have the encrypted data in here. Now, because this was a live capture, I'm sure the packet numbers and all of that may vary differently for you. But the key principles remain the same, right? Client says a hello, server says hello, certificate is sent, encryption keys are created, encryption starts, data is encrypted and sent over the network, right? And here is the final encrypted data, right? Awesome. So I think purely from a functional perspective, it should be very clear to you right now how HTTPS works. And honestly, from a pure pen testing perspective, I think this is sufficient. If you are inquisitive, you could always jump into the crypto and public-private key cryptography and all of that stuff. But it is not mandatory, right? It's only if that interests you. As far as looking at how the browser verifies the certificate and all of that, we will come to it a little later and I'll talk about it. So the next thing we will look at basically in the next video to begin with is how do we peer into an HTTPS connection, right? And I'll talk about it in the next video. If you like Pentester Academy, please do recommend to your friends and colleagues in the InfoSec domain, and do connect with us on Twitter and Facebook. That's all for this video. Thank you.